Your grandpa bought a house, two cars, and raised four kids on a single income with a high school diploma. You have a college degree, make more money than he ever did, and you're stuck renting an apartment. What changed? Inflation has gone exponential. Your purchasing power in dollars is trending towards zero, and this is by design, not accident. They taught us inflation is about supply and demand. That's not the real story. I'm going to show you what inflation actually is, the version they did not teach us in school. Since 2001, the US government has run a deficit every single year. The interest on our debt just crossed $1 trillion, more than we spend on the entire military. And the only way to keep the system from collapsing, print more money forever. This isn't a conspiracy theory, this is just the math. And once you understand the real mechanism, everything will click. All right, here's a fact that should make you angry. The US government has spent more money than it made every single year since the year 2001. Not some years, not most years, every single year. Imagine if you did this with your credit card. Just kept swiping, never paying it off, just paying the minimum. Eventually, you're not even paying down what you owe, you're just paying the interest. That's where we are now. In 2025, the US paid over $1 trillion just in interest on the debt, not paying down the actual debt, just the interest payment. How much is that? Like I said before, it's more than the entire military, aircraft carriers, fighter jets, all of it. It's around $850 billion. Interest payments, now over $1 trillion. We're paying $150 billion more to banks in foreign countries in interest than we pay to defend our own country. And check this out. In 2020, just 5 years ago, we paid $345 billion in interest. Now it's over $1 trillion. It tripled in just 5 years. By 2035, the government and banks are projecting the interest payment to hit $1.8 trillion. I'd be willing to bet that it will be more than that. And before you think this is about Democrats or Republicans, stop. Bush did it, Obama did it, Trump did it, Biden did it. Every single one, both parties vote for this every year. This is the system. Okay, so why should you care? Because this affects your wallet every single day. Let's play a game. I'm going to show you what things cost in the year 2000, and you tell me if you can afford the same stuff your parents could. In the year 2000, the average house cost around $170,000. In 2025, that same house costs $430,000. In the year 2000, a new car cost $22,000. In the year 2025, a new car costs $48,000. Healthcare costs more than tripled. But Trace, wages went up too, right? Yeah, not nearly enough. If you made $50,000 in 2000, adjusting for wage growth, you might make $65,000 today. Cool, that's a raise, right? Wrong, because that $50,000 in 2000 could buy you way more than the $65,000 can buy you today. Your paycheck number is bigger, but it buys less. That's not an accident, that's the whole point. So how does this work? Let me break it down to you like you're explaining it to someone who's never heard of economics. Step 1. Congress makes a budget. Let's say they decide to spend $6.5 trillion this year. Roads, military, Social Security, all of it. Step 2. The government collects taxes from everyone. That's the revenue. That's about $4.9 trillion. Step 3. They're short. $1.6 trillion. So what do? Can't just not pay for stuff, right? Here's the trick. The Treasury says, hey, Federal Reserve, we need money. The Fed says, no problem, and basically creates it out of thin air. They buy government bonds, which is just a fancy way of saying they print money to cover the difference. Now there's more dollars floating around, but there's not more stuff. Same amount of houses, cars, food, more dollars competing for the same stuff. More dollars competing for the same goods and services. What happens when there's more of something? It's worth less. That's it. That's inflation. Not supply chain issues, not corporate greed. Those things matter, but the big one, creating trillions of dollars out of thin air. Now, I'm already ready for all the CPI comments. Well, Trace, what about CPI? CPI never is like around 3% inflation every. CPI is manipulated and doctored data. For example, 30 years ago, the Federal Reserve and the government uses breakfast goods to measure inflation. 30 years ago, they were using milk and eggs. Fast forward to today, they use the prices of cereal to measure inflation for breakfast goods. So this should clearly show you that they're trying to pick and choose data that makes inflation look as minimal as possible. Here's where it gets really dark. We're stuck, like actually trapped with no way out. We owe over $38 trillion. That's a trillion with a T. You can't even visualize that number. If you spent $1 million every single day, it would take you 98,000 years to spend over $38 trillion. Now, normally, when inflation is bad, you raise interest rates to cool things down. Makes borrowing expensive, slows down the economy. That's simple Econ 101 stuff. But we can't do that anymore, and here's why. If interest rates go to a normal historical level, say 5 to 6%, then our interest payments alone would eat up almost all the tax revenue we collect. We wouldn't be able to pay for anything else. No military, no social security, nothing. In this case scenario, the entire system collapses. So the Federal Reserve is stuck. They have to keep interest rates low and they have to keep printing money or everything breaks. That means your dollar has to keep losing value. Not maybe, not possibly, it has to. It's the only way to keep this thing running. I know what you're thinking. This sounds like a conspiracy theory. It's not. This is literally just how it works. You can look this up. It's public information. You can go to the St. Louis Federal Reserve government website where all the data is there for you. You can look at the supply growth in US dollars by looking at the M2 money supply. You can look at the exponential growth in the national debt. It's all public information. George W. Bush increased spending, Barack Obama increased spending, Donald Trump increased spending, and Joe Biden increased spending. Every year, Democrats and Republicans argue and yell at each other on TV, then they both vote to raise the debt ceiling. Both vote to increase spending every single time. Because they don't have a choice. There are only two options. Option one, keep printing money, keep devaluing the dollar. Option two, stop printing, default on the debt, total financial collapse. They're going with option one every time because option two is unthinkable. This isn't a secret. This is the actual policy. This is what's happening. So what does this mean for you? It means the savings account you have, it's losing value right now, every day. Let's say you have $10,000 saved. You're being responsible, right? Here's the problem. The government tells you inflation is around 3%, but the real rate, when you actually measure the supply growth in US dollars with the M2 money supply, is closer to 6.6% on average every year. At 3% inflation, what they tell you, your $10,000 loses about $2,600 in buying power every 10 years. At 6.6 inflation, what's actually happening, that same $10,000 can only buy what $5,100 buys today. You lost half your money's value just by being responsible and saving it. This is why it feels like you're running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up. You're getting raises, but somehow you're not getting ahead because the real inflation rate is eating your money faster than your raises can keep up. And here's the hard truth. This isn't going to stop. It can't stop. The system requires continued money printing or it implodes. Understanding this doesn't make it better, but it means you can make better decisions. You know the game now. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Look, I get it. This is heavy, but you needed to know this. Your financial future depends on understanding how the system actually works. If this opened your eyes and you found this interesting, please hit subscribe. I make videos breaking down the economy without the BS. No politics, just facts. Drop a comment. Tell me if you've noticed this in your own life. Are you seeing prices go up faster than your paycheck? I want to hear your story. And on this channel, we talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the best asset anyone could ever own to protect themselves from inflation. Instead of being scared of inflation, Bitcoin actually makes it so inflation works in your favor. They didn't teach you this in school, but now you know. Don't let them keep you in the dark. Thank you.